Hello everyone, this is L News, your place to learn the latest in literature, film, and culture. Tonight on our show, we're going deep into the debate about Hervé Guibert's latest novel, To the Friend Who Did Not Save My Life. We have the exclusive you can't get anywhere else. Tonight we'll show you the intimate interviews with high school teachers, high school students, high school guidance counselors, as well as university professors and university students. Guibert's book has been all over the news, and as I'm sure you've heard, there is quite a controversy about whether high schoolers should be exposed to the graphic descriptions of sex, the detailed description of depression, and the so-called glorification of suicide. The novel portrays the last days of Guibert's life, as he struggles with the physical and emotional turmoil of AIDS. While the portrayal has been praised as a literary work, it has also raised questions from the secondary schools about appropriateness. First, I'm here with Ms. Christensen, an English teacher at Central High School. Thank you for meeting with me.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Alright, let's talk about the novel a little. I understand that you taught it in your class for the first time this year. Can you tell us a little bit about the reaction you got from students?
Yes, this is the first year that we taught Guibert's novel. The reaction I got from students was mainly appreciation, but also shock and alienation. This was because of the obscene descriptions of sex. Students felt that the obscene description of sex distracted from the overall message of the novel because they were uncomfortable. As a teacher, my responsibility is to my students' education, but also to their comfort.
Alright, some interesting points. Thank you for your time. To learn more about the issues, we now talk to Jaden, who is at Central High School, to talk to the faculty and students about the book.
We're here in the Central High School, and here is the guidance counselor, Ms. Xu, and thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me here.
Would you please share your opinion on how students react to this book?
And honestly, I just don't think high school kids are supposed to read this kind of book. And it's not about the content. Homosexuality is fine, but the thoughts provided in that book is very devastating because they pursue suicidality, and they try to say, well, it's a beautiful thing, and that's not what it's supposed to be faced for high school kids.
High school kids come to you?
Yeah, it's actually been increasing number of the high school kids so far. They come to my office and they start talking to me, and they start complaining about this book and assignments assigned for this literature class, and I don't think it's proper for the high school kids to read this book. Like, for example, one thing in that book is, I think it's describing about this AIDS carrier and trying to attempt to suicide, but obviously that person is confused. And
what kind of problems do the kids always bring to you?
Like, they say this book made them feel very depressing, and they don't have any motivation to study or to do the class and assignments because their mood is depressed. It's just to develop in high school, so they're not adults. They don't have a very solid thoughts, and it's very easy for them to develop depression, and it's very relatively easier for them to develop depression, and also it's very easy for them to have any low mood or low productivity, and to be more to be antisocialized during those kind of periods.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Actually, we have one student here in our interview, and his name is Raj. Raj, Raj, could you share some of your thoughts and opinion over the book?
I don't really like the book. I think my friends also don't like the book because I don't think it's appropriate to talk about homosexuality at this at this age. And some of my friends have complained to the counselor, but the books there's also suicidal thoughts, and it makes kids depressed, and that's not good because, well, not only it affects our studies, but it just doesn't make us want to go to school by reading this book. And I would never recommend this book to other kids.
Will you recommend this when you get college, because you will be mature and maybe can accept some of the topics?
Yeah. Maybe, definitely college would be a better time. But I'm still sure some kids wouldn't like it. But like you said, college would be better to introduce this book.
After interview high school teachers, guidance counselor, and high school students, we are wondering how college professors and students think about the book To the Friend Who Did Not Save My Life. We came to the UW Madison and talked to the professor of French literature 209, and here is part of the
Hello
interview.
everyone, now we're going to talk about the book To the Friend Who Did Not Save My Life. Here we have several questions about the book.
Sure.
Why do you choose this book for the class?
I think, first of all, it's kind of an important text historically, since it represents a moment in the AIDS crisis that is now over. But also, I think it's an incredible piece of literature that shows how the power of telling a story affects one's illness, identity, things like that.
Okay. Do you have any certain expectation from the student when you choose this book? Because it's kind of like different than others.
Yes. I guess I would ask students to read it with an open mind, because the book is sometimes very strange and shocking, and also to understand how the book is structured and put together takes some effort and concentration, I think.
Do the students have the similar reaction as you expect, or like some of them they do not?
Every time I teach the book, and I've taught it several times, students always surprise me. They say something that I didn't expect, and that's one of the reasons I like to teach the book. But generally, I think that people understand why I'm teaching it and why I think it's important.
So what do you think the impact of the novel on the AIDS community or the homosexual community?
Well, I think the book was less known in this country, in the United States, but in France it had a very big effect. First of all, because it outed Michel Foucault, the philosopher, as dying of AIDS, which was big news to many people. And also because it represented a kind of its blending of truth and fiction were almost, and also the fantastic nature of it were, I think, somewhat new at the time, if not new in French literature as a whole.
Because we interviewed some high school teacher and high school students, they say like this book making them sometimes feel depressing, and the suicidal thought is really have not good effect on them. So what do you think? So what do you think? Like, how do they deal with this?
Well, I would hope that that people will recognize that this is a work of literature. It's not a true story. It's based on fact and based on a person's experience. But the author wrote the book in part, he wrote it as literature, and that means that he changed reality in order to say certain things about HIV and AIDS, and also about society in a general sense. So I would ask anybody who has a strong emotional reaction to think about that first. And then, well, it's true that if someone were feeling very worried about his sexuality or his HIV status, the book could have a very strong effect on that person. And I hope that person would come and talk to me and discuss the book. Hopefully after I teach the book, they wouldn't feel that way. They'd understand more.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Professor, for providing these helpful tips for reading this controversial novel. Now let's listen to how college students react to this book.
So you took Trans 209 this year. What did you think of the last book you read, To the Friend Who Did Not Save My Life?
Well, I found the book really thought-provoking, and I thought his perspective of take on the end of someone's life was also really interesting. And while I found the description to be really haunting, at the same time I was glad to be able to see that perspective for the first time. And I understand how some people might be put off by his depression and hopelessness, but at the same time I think it's really important to understand that there are communities that actually do feel this way.
Hello everyone. Two professors come from France, come to our program, and let them introduce themselves to you. They will share their opinion and thoughts on the book To the Friend Who Did Not Save My Life.
Bonjour, je suis le professeur Bayrou de l'université La Grève à Paris.
Bonjour, je suis le professeur Le Stylo de l'université Les Deux Chèvres à Toire.
Le livre peut certainement choquer, mais c'est exactement ce que c'est censé faire. Quand on écrit un livre, on souhaite exprimer une opinion ou éclairer un sujet, et c'est ce que fait ce livre.
Oui, d'un autre côté, ce livre, même en étant choquant, n'a pas besoin d'être écrit d'une manière aussi offensive. Il ne faut pas exagérer non plus.
Bon, les détails sont peut-être un peu crus, d'accord, mais c'est le style de l'auteur et je pense que c'est une partie intégrale voilà, de l'ambiance, de l'écriture du livre. Moi, je pense que si c'était écrit autrement, c'est clair que ça perdrait un peu de son esprit, de son âme et aussi de l'effet que ça a sur les gens.
Oui, mais en même temps, est-ce que vous voulez vraiment prendre le risque de mettre en jeu la santé mentale des étudiants, hein, juste pour faire une déclaration ou ce que vous voulez, hein, d'un côté, je vois ce que vous voulez dire, mais en même temps, est-ce qu'il n'y a pas d'autres types d'œuvres dans la littérature qui sont plus subtiles, par exemple, peut-être, et qui pourraient dire la même chose tout aussi bien, sans pour autant...
Or, t'as pris qu'une salade, toi? Eh ben, on va la payer à part, ta petite salade. Hein? Puis moi, je divise le reste, on préfère. Pas. On préfère pas. Bon, alors, qu'est-ce que t'as mangé, toi, ce soir? Une salade, on peut savoir laquelle? Alors, il y a la piémontaise, jambon, gruyère, œuf mollet. Ben, l'auvergnate, alors, jambon, gruyère, voilà.
Vous arrivez au resto avec un copain, par exemple. Vous arrivez, le serveur dit bonjour, 2 couverts. Et vous dites non, non, on est 2, mais mon copain il va manger avec ses doigts, c'est pas grave. Hein. Et moi je lui passerai la fourchette, hein, de temps en temps. Bon. Après, bon, parfois, évidemment, c'est le client hein, qui est. Parce que parfois, le client regarde le menu et il dit au garçon il est frais votre poisson? Non, non, il est pourri depuis 3 jours, mais on va essayer de vous le filer quand même. Hein? C'est le jeu. Autrement, vous êtes arrivé à une soirée, vous êtes invité à une soirée, et la maîtresse de maison ouvre la porte et vous lui donnez des fleurs parce que vous êtes poli. Et là, elle dit oh, des fleurs! Et elle est drôlement surprise, hein, parce que normalement on devrait lui donner, je sais pas, des boulons ou des carottes râpées, hein. Là, donc là, elle est drôlement surprise, c'est des fleurs. Après, alors elle vous invite quand même à entrer, et alors à gauche, vous avez la chambre à coucher, à droite, vous avez la cuisine, et devant, vous avez une salle pleine d'invités. Et là, elle vous dit, c'est par là. Pour le cas où on aurait voulu faire une sieste un peu avant, ou aller faire la vaisselle, hein, et aider à préparer la cuisine.